Om Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Guru Sakshat Parang Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Akhanda Mandalakaram Vyaptam Yena Characharam Tatpadam Darshitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityor Ma Amritangamaya Om Shanti 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 Sahanao Avatu Sahanao Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinao Adhitam Astu Ma Vidvishavahai Om Shanti 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 Tvameva Mata Chapita Tvameva Tvameva Bandhu Scha Tvameva Tvameva Vidya Dravinam Tvameva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva Vangshi Vibhushita Karat Navaniradabhat Pitambarat Arunabimba Faladharoshthat Purnendu Sundara Mukhat Aravinda Netrat Krishnat Param Kimapi Tattvamaham na jane Ramo Rajamani Sada Vijayate Ramang Rameshang Bhaje Ramena Bihata Nishachara Chamu Ramaya Tasmai Namaha Ramat Nasti Parayanang Parataram Ramasya Dasosmyaham Rame Chittalayak Sada Bhavatu Me Bho Rama Mam Uddhara Krishno Rakshatu No Jagat Traya Guru Krishnang Namadhvam Sada Krishnena Akhila Sadgatir Vitarita Krishnaya Tasmai Namaha Krishna Deva Samutthitang Jagadidam Krishnasya Dasavayam Krishne Tishtati Vishwametadakilam He Krishna Rakshasvamam. Okay, Samantika, today you be my chorus here. Okay?
Okay.
Okay, so we got Punglinga. Pratama Asau Yogi Amu Yoginau Ami Yoginaha.
Prathama Amo Yogi Amu Yogino Ami Yoginaha.
I don't know why you said Amo. It's Asau.
Oi.
Pratama Asau Yogi amu yogino, ami yoginaha.
Prathama aso yogi, amu yogino, ami yoginaha.
Dvitiya amum yoginam, amu yogino, amun yoginaha.
Dvitiya amum yoginam, amu yogino, amun yoginaha.
Tritiya amuna yogina, amubhyam yogibhyam, amibihi yogibihi.
Tritiya amuna yogina, amubhyam yogibhyam, amibihi yogibihi.
Chaturthi amushmai yogine, amubhyam yogibhyam, amibhyaha yogibhyaha.
Chaturthi amushmai yogine, amubhyam yogibhyam, amibhyaha yogibhyaha.
Panchami amushmat yoginaha, amubhyam yogibhyam, amibhyaha yogibhyaha.
Panchami amushmat yoginaha, amubhyam yogibhyam, amibhyaha yogibhyaha.
Shashti amushya yoginaha, amuyoho yoginoho, amisham yoginam.
Shashti amushya yoginaha, amunoho yoginoho, amisham yoginam.
Saptami amushmin yogini, amuyoho yoginoho, amishu yogishu.
Saptami amushmin yogini, amuyoho yoginoho, amishu yogishu.
Okay, Strilinga. Asau pratama asau yogini, amu yoginyo, amuhu yoginyaha.
Prathama aso yogini, amu yoginyo, amuhu yoginyaha.
Dvitiya amum yoginim, amu yoginyo, amuhu yoginihi.
Dvitiya amum yoginim, amu yoginyo, amuhu yoginihi.
Tritiya amuya yoginya, amubhyam yoginibhyam, amubihi yoginibihi.
Tritiya amuya yoginya, amubhyam yoginibhyam, amubihi yoginibhihi.
Chaturthi amushyai yoginyai, amubhyam yoginibhyam, amubhyaha yoginibhyaha.
Chaturthi amushyai yoginyai, amubhyam yoginibhyam, amubhyaha yoginibhyaha.
Panchami amushyaha yoginyaha, amubhyam yoginibhyam, amubhyaha yoginibhyaha.
Amushyaha yoginibhyaha, amubhyam yoginibhyam, amubhyaha yoginibhyaha.
Shashti amushyaha yoginyaha, amuyoho yoginyoho, amusham yogininam.
Shashti amushyaha yoginyaha, amuyoho yoginyoho, amusham yogininam.
Saptami amushyam yoginyam, amuyoho yoginyoho, amushu yoginishu.
Saptami amushyam yoginyam, amuyoho yoginyoho, amushu yoginishu.
And neuter. Prathama adaha vastu, amu vastuni, amuni vastuni.
Prathama adaha vastu, amu vastuni, amuni vastuni.
Dvitiya adaha vastu amu vastuni amuni vastuni.
Dvitiya adaha vastu amu vastuni amuni vastuni.
Tritiya amuna vastuna amubhyam vastubhyam amibihi vastubihi.
Tritiya amuna vastuna amubhyam vastubhyam amivihi vastubhihi.
Chaturthi amushmai vastune amubhyam vastubhyam amibhyaha vastubhyaha.
Chaturthi amushmai vastune amubhyam vastubhyam amibhyaha vastubhyaha.
Panchami amushmat vastunaha amubhyam vastubhyam amibhyaha vastubhyaha.
Panchami amushmat vastunaha amubhyam vastubhyam amibhyaha vastubhyaha.
Shashti amushya vastunaha amuyoho vastunoho amishang vastunam.
Shashti amushya vastunaha amuyoho vastunoho amisham vastunam.
And Saptami amushmin vastuni amuyoho vastunoho amishu vastushu.
Saptami amushmin vastuni amuyoho vastunoho amishu vastushu.
And the verse Veda vinashinam nityam ya enam ajamavyayam katangsa purushah partha kanghatayati hantikam.
Veda vinashinam nityam ya enam jamavyayam katham sa purushah partha kam khatayati hantikam.
Veda vinashinam nityam ya enam ajamavyayam katangsa purushah partha kanghatayati hantikam.
Veda vinashinam nityam ya enam ajamavyayam katham sa purushah partha kam ghatayati hantikam.
Veda vinashinam nityam ya enam ajamavyayam katangsa purushah partha kanghatayati hantikam.
Veda vinashinam nityam ya enam ajamavyayam katham sa purushah partha kam ghatayati hantikam.
Okay, so here we are, and this is the, just let me get this new, just let me put this on. All right, it was done. So here we are. We're at, whoops, I've gone way out of, let me just go back to the place where we're supposed to be. Here we go. Oh, we're actually here, 2.6, well, all the way out here. All right, so so this is the last class before the holiday. So I want to start next year when we start the next when we start the next class. The next class after this one should be in chapter 3. All right. So what I'm going to do today, we'll do as much as we can here of this. And this is not really so complicated to present. And I'm just going to go straight to the sentences today. I didn't actually finish. I've started to write some sentences here for the, well, how many of you do you think will be able to have some time over the next 2 weeks? I know that you're not really university students, but many people do have holidays at this time. So I don't suppose that really applies to Shamantika. But you know, but I mean, I don't know. Naveen, you work on the. You're going to be working over the next 2 weeks, or do you have holiday over the next 2 weeks? What's your situation?
We have holidays, yes.
You have holiday. So are you going to be with family, or are you going to have some free time?
Yes, a family, and in between, maybe I find something.
Okay. Well, I don't suppose, I mean, I don't want it, the idea is to have a holiday. So even for this is a holiday, but I do want you to do a little bit of work on the over the holiday. So I'm going to give you the sentences here so that, well, I'm going to increase this number of sentences. So this is not quite ready yet, but there's these sentences here. So this one's Vakyani 2.6. So we'll look at some of those today. And probably this Soham sentence, and then there was, I have at the end, English to Sanskrit sentences. So far I've only put 8 sentences here, and they're all pretty easy ones. But that's what usually the English to Sanskrit, I usually make them quite easy because they're, you know, it's, well, one of the features of the way that I'm teaching, the way that I think that Sanskrit should, well, the way that I'm teaching Sanskrit, whether that's the way Sanskrit should be taught or not, I don't know. But at any rate, I mean, it's about varieties of ways of saying things. Like when you go and when you, if those who are following, one or two of you, some of the people who are following this course are also following the Gita course. But you see there, when we look at the different we're usually looking at 3 commentaries. I'm telling you, for all you other ones, also to give you a little bit of a you know, inspiration to go on. But we have the three Sanskrit commentaries that we look at, usually Sridhar, Baladev, and Vishwanath. And quite often they're saying the same thing or saying something approximately the same thing using different words. So we, you know, so we see the, you know, it gives us a range of ways of expressing similar ideas. So, you know, like already we've been looking at certain, at different ways of saying the same thing, like about the, you know, the causative and verbal nouns and so on. So at any rate, I'll make 20 sentences here. And so you should work on those over the holiday. And I don't know if any of you will or not, but then we'll do those, we'll review those or you can send them in to me and we'll review those when we take up the course again in January. But I want to start as soon as possible getting on to the 3rd chapter. We spent a lot of time here on the 2nd chapter, and it was, you know, anyway, this is the current situation. There's quite a bit of vocabulary, as you can see, and even this vocabulary, I'm going to update this vocabulary here so that we can, so that you can, so to help with the sentences, right? Because part of the thing about the sentences is to get vocabulary. So today, let's just look at this. Let's just go over the Atmanepada. So this is not really something complicated. This is just another way of conjugating the verbs, right? So it's called the middle voice. In the middle voice, the only other language I think there may be a middle voice in Arabic. There's certainly a middle voice in Greek, in ancient Greek, but then in later Greek it gets lost. So just like the middle voice is something that gets lost, but it's there in the oldest stratum of the Indo-Aryan languages. And even in the classical Sanskrit period, the idea of Atmanepada. So you can see this, the word Atmane is Chaturthi Vibhakti. It's a compound word with the, you know, there are a few compound words where the Vibhakti remains. So here, Atmanepada, it means that the word is being directed towards the self. So that's the theory behind the Atmanepada. And then Parasmaipada, it's also a Chaturthi Vibhakti, as you can recognize here, Parasmai. So you get Parasmai, like Asmai, Tasmai, Amushmai, like we've just been doing, right? The Smai ending, that's the indicative of the pronominal declension. So parasmai means to another, right? So anyasmai, parasmai. It could have been the anyasmai pada or parasmai pada, to another, to oneself or to another. So I always say this, it's not such a, it really is in terms of meaning, there is no practical difference in the way these verbs are used. Though originally the difference was that in one, the action was done for another, parasmai, and in the other for oneself. It means that the result of the action, I'm sure there's a sutra somewhere in the Harinamamrita Vyakaran that just defines this. I think, I forget now what's he calls it. He calls it Atmapada. Instead of calling it Atmanepada in Harinamamrita, he calls it Atmapada. I don't know what quite the logic is that. Atmane, it could be Paramatmanepada. We have para here and Atmane. So in the Achintya Bheda Bhed way of looking at things, this is Paramatmanepada and this is Paramatmanepada. They're both Paramatmanepada. Anyway, so let's just look at these here. This is not, we'll go over this one or two times. So labhate, labhete, labhante. So repeat in your minds here. I'm going to just say it twice. Labhate, labhete, labhante. Labhate, labhete, labhante. Labhase, labhete, labhadve. Labhase, labhete, labhadve. Labhe, labhavahe, labhamahe. Okay, you do it with me, Semantika, okay? We'll keep you on. So, sa labhate,
Sa labhate,
tau labhete,
tau labhete,
te labhante.
te labhante,
Or to use the sum, asau labhate,
asau labhate,
amu labhete,
amu labhete,
ami labhante,
ami labhante,
asau yogi labhate,
asau yogi labhate,
amu yoginau labhete,
amu yogino labhete,
ami yoginaha labhante.
ami yoginaha labhante.
So what do they labhante come? The kaivalyam labhante. What do the yogis get? They get kaivalyam. So aso yogi kaivalyam labhate.
Aso yogi kaivalyam labhate.
Amu yoginau muktim labhete.
Amu yogino muktim labhete.
Okay, ami bhakti yogino or ami bhakti yoginaha prema labhante.
Ami bhakti yoginaha labhe. Wait, what was there?
Ah, prema. Well, prema should be.
Sure. Premam labhante.
Okay, prema is actually, the prema is an interesting word because prema can be neuter or masculine. So prema is, but it's prema is like Brahma Shabdaha or like Atma Shabdaha. So sometimes you see premanam, the accusative premanam, or you see just prema, so that would be prema like Brahma or like karma. Okay, Tvam labhase,
Tvam labhase,
Yuvam labhete,
yuvam labhete,
Yuyam labhadve,
yuyam labhadve,
Aham labhe,
aham labhe,
Avam labhavahe,
avam labhavahe,
Vayam labhamahe.
vayam labhamahe.
All right, Mukunda, I'm giving you a task now. All right, so I'm putting you on the spot and everybody else prepare. All right, so now I want you to do bhaj. You know bhaj, bhajate, right? So bhajate, I want you to go through this using the verb bhaj with the pronoun. All right, so sa bhajate, tau bhajete, te bhajante. Go through all 9 forms like that, doing that. Okay?
Okay.
Understand the task I'm giving you here?
Yes.
Okay, go.
Saha bhajate, tau bhajete, te bhajante, tvam bhajase, yuvam bhajete, yuyam bhajadve, aham bhaje, avam bhajavahe,
Vajavahe.
bhajavahe, vayam bhajamahe.
Okay. All right, next one. We're going to do this. So everybody be ready because I'm going to ask you to other people to do the same thing. All right, I got to, this one here is crossing over the page. Let me just, how can I do this? I'll just get, well, here are my next, I'll just drop it down to the next side. Okay, we got to do kurute now. All right, so Syamantika, well, okay, Mukunda, you do this time. Okay, kurute, kurvate, kurvate. Repeat, Mukunda.
Oh, sorry. Kurute, kurvate, sorry. Kurute, kurvate, kurvate.
Kurvate, yeah. Kurushe, kurvate, kurudve.
Kurushe, kurate, kurudve.
Kurve, kurvahe, kurmahe.
Kurve, kurvehe, kurmehe.
So what happens in the Atmanepada with the athematic verbs that you have only the weak stem, right? So so what happens is kuru. So you add te, she, but in the other ones right here, so this is ate is the ending. So kurvate, and here it's ate, kurvate. So it doesn't get the N in here, right? Kurvate, like we had kurvanti in the Parasmaipada, remember? So it was karoti, kurutaha, and kurvanti. So in the Parasmaipada, anti was the ending. So kuru anti became kurvanti. And here the ending is ate, so it's kurvate. So it's different from here. So here the endings are different in the thematic ones. Labhate. So in some cases it looks the same, right? Kurute. So kurute, kurvate, kurvate, kurushe, kurvate, kurudve, kurve, kurvahe, kurmahe. So this one is a little bit, there's some few oddities in here. So you have to, this one here, you just have to memorize it. You're going to have to memorize this one as well, because kuru is just such a common verb and it's used so often. And like we learned in the last classes or recently, we've been learning about using the verbal noun with the verb kri. So you can have that not only with the Parasmaipada, but with the Atmanepada as well. So kurute, kurvate, kurvate, repeat.
Kurute, kurvate, kurvate.
Kurushe, kurvate, kurudve.
Kurushe, kurvate, kurudve.
Kurve, kurvahe, kurmahe. Whoops.
Kurve, kurvahe, kurmahe.
Okay, Kumari, are you there?
Yes,
Are you ready to roll?
ready.
Okay, I just want you to go through this one here. Go through this conjugation, but just add the feminine pronoun here and then add the regular pronouns for the other two. You understand what I'm
The
saying?
feminine pronoun just for the third person?
That's right.
Okay. Sa kurute te kurvate
Kurvate.
kurvate. I'm blanking.
Taha.
Taha. Okay. Taha kurvate.
Okay, now second person.
Tvam kurushe yuvam kurvate yuyam kurudve.
Okay.
Aham kurve yuvam aham avam kurvahe aham avam vayam kurmahe.
Okay, one more here. We're going to just do this. So we go through this paradigm, right? So this is also as dhatu. So as dhatu, you'll see this comes up a bit. This as dhatu means to sit or to be somewhere, right? So the aste, upaste. So aste, so now you see these are the same endings as here, but they're going directly onto the verb root. So the verb root is as, aste, asate, asate. Repeat. Kumari, you're there, so you do it. Aste,
Aste, asate, asate, aste,
and
asate.
asate. Yes, so this is as. So the ending is te on each one of them, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you just have to see it. Here it's asate, and here it's asate. So aste, asate, asate. So that's not too hard to remember, right?
Mm-hmm.
Aste, asate, asate.
Aste, asate, asate.
Aste, asate, adve.
Ase, asate, adve.
Ase, asvahe, asmahe.
Ase, asvahe, asmahe.
So note here the second person plural, which drops the S altogether. This is particular to this verb alone. So I mean, already we're seeing that there are things that are happening here, because in each of these there seems to be some little bit of irregularity. So you have to you know the general paradigm, the endings te, ate, se, ate, dve, a, vahe, and mahe. But sometimes there might be a vowel gets in there. So each particular verb, when you see it, you'll recognize it. But when you have to speak it, well, then you're going to have to think a little bit, right? So grihnivahe, and all those things. There's going to be a lot of that kind of stuff there. So this here, for this up to here, you know that you have the thematic verbs. You have labate, labhete, labhante, labase, labete, labadve, labhe, labhavahe, labhamahe. The endings are pretty much the same, except here you have this one and ante. And you have this also, this intervening a here becomes a in the other in the athematic ones. But otherwise, it's pretty much the same. Here also you have this intervening a, which gets lost over here, kurvahe. And here you have labhavahe, just like in the Parasmaipadam, we had labha. What was it? It was like let's see, so bhavami, bhavavahe. Bhavavaha, bhavamaha, right? That was in the Parasmaipada. Bhavami, bhavavaha, bhavamaha. So this av, this va is consistent. This ma is consistent. The ha or visarga, he or visarga, these things are consistent. Some other things are consistent, but there's inconsistencies as well. So this is what to learn Sanskrit, you have to have a gymnastic brain. One that can do somersaults and is agile. You need an agile brain. Okay, so let's just look at these verbs here. So there's a few verbs here that are important. Now these verbs are all these verbs are all being used more or less in the sense of to be and to exist. And they're all pretty common. So we learned all about, nominal sentences in the first chapter. So we learned that you don't really need a verb always in order to say that something is something. Krishna stu Bhagavan Swayam. Right? Krishna stu Bhagavan Swayam. So Krishna stu Bhagavan Swayam asti. Krishna astu, Bhagavan Swayam Bhavati, right? So Krishna, Bhagavan, that's Krishno Bhagavan, that's a sentence. It means that Krishna is Bhagavan, but we don't say the word is, right? So there are millions and tons and tons and tons of sentences that are just like that. It's very useful. Just you say, list a bunch of words and say that, just as long as it's clear what your subject is, and the other words are all describing that subject. So we did that, right? Remember the verse? Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. So that was a whole, just one big long nominal sentence. But you could put Bhavati in there, you could put Asti in there. But now in terms of being, right? So you can have standing, sitting, being present. There's all kinds of different ways of saying which that mean just being somewhere, right? So sometimes that being somewhere is physical, that a person is physically present somewhere. Sometimes it's just a statement of an abstract noun, that some abstract existence is there, and so on. So there's a lot of different verbs that are being used like that. So none of these verbs are going to be transitive. They're all intransitive verbs, because anything that means that he's standing over there, right? So sa tatra tishtati. So sa tatra tishtati. But also we have these other words. These are mostly Atmanepada. So why is that? I guess that because if you're existing somewhere, you're existing in yourself or for yourself. So sa tatra vartate. Right? That's the other one. So aste, satatra aste. He is sitting over there, or he is present over there, right? So aste, so we just saw this one, right? Aste, asate, asate, ase, asate, adve, ase, aswahe, asmahe. But you're mostly going to see it in the third person singular. Aste. The meaning of this verb is usually given as to sit, but it has the older meaning of to be present, to exist. So this is something we didn't look at very carefully as we went through this chapter, but there were a few question markers. So you should go back and look at this. So I hopefully, I want you to be all so that over the holiday period, at least do a bit of review, at least on the day before we start, the third chapter, because we're going to start the third. We're going to do the sentences. I'm going to make a few more sentences. I'll make 15 or 20 sentences altogether from English to Sanskrit. But you should review this chapter, right? And look at all these little sentences that are here. So this sentence, and so go back and look at 2.2.5. I don't expect you to learn everything that's there, but just get an overview of that. There's some of the things that are in this chapter are not really meant to be learned. You can refer to them later on, so we can go back and look at them. They're kind of there as a little treasure chest that's been buried. We'll give you the map and send you back there and pick up this treasure that's at 2.2.5. So these are question markers. So this question marker was kachit. So that comes at the very end of the Bhagavad-Gita also, kachit. When Krishna asks Arjuna, did you listen? Did you understand? So that kachchit, that was the question marker there. Did you understand? So kachchit, so this one here was kachchid ramaha sukham aste. So the word here is aste. So is Rama, here I put living happily. Oh, these darn, I wish they didn't do that. Anyway, so is Rama living happily? Right? Kachid Rama Sukham Aste. So could he had Asti? He probably had Asti also. Right? Kachit, kachit. It's not the same as kwachit. Kachit. This is just making a question. That's all it's doing. Right? So Ramaha Sukam Asti Kim. Or, probably you wouldn't use that because with the, but here Sukam is an adverb. So is he being, or is he sitting happily? This is what it would actually, literal translation would be. Is Rama sitting happily? Kachchid Ramaha Sukam Aste. And then another question mark was api at the beginning of a sentence. So we've seen api now. So this is the trouble with these words, right? Api at the beginning of a sentence means a question. So these are all from the first canto. There are several places in the Bhagavad-Gita. Nearly always this kachchit is nearly always asking a question about someone's state of mind. So really it's like a state. Is he in a state? Right? So kachchit Ramaha Sukam Aste. Is Rama in a happy state? Is he in a state happily? So if you just put sit, sit is probably if you look at it first as being, is Rama sitting happily? Well, it doesn't really mean is he sitting happily. It means, is he in a happy state? And so the same question comes. So this is a very frequent, if you're inquiring to someone's well-being, how are you? Sukham ase, tuam kachchid, tuam sukham ase. Kim, tuam sukham ase. Sukham ase kim. All right? So this verb is being used particularly in that way, not only in that way. Because you don't usually mean aste. It doesn't usually mean sitting, well, it does mean sitting, but if you really want to say sit down to somebody, you don't say adhvam, right? You say, or asa. You're going to say upavisha or upavishatu, like that, right? You're going to use the word upavishate, upavishati. That's the word for sit. But here, this also means to sit, but it means sitting more in a state of being in a state, in a good state. So here, look at the next one. Api yadavaha swapuryam sukam asate. So here, this is the plural, right? Asate, aste, asate, asate. Api yadavaha swapuryam. So this is a saptami vibhakti. You can recognize that. Nari, naryam. Amushyam, yoginyam. Right? Swapuryam. This is a saptami vibhakti, feminine. Puri. Right? Puri means a city. Swapuri, so Puryam. So are the Yadavas staying happily in their city? So Swapuryam, so it means Dwarka here. This was in the first canto. So the Yadus are living in Dwarka now. So Yadu, Yadavaha, plural from Yadu. Also, you say if it was Yadavaha, you can say Yadavaha also. But Yadu, the Yadus or the Yadavas. So Yadu, Yadavaha, that's the plural. Ukaranta, Vishnu, Vishnavaha. Right? So Api, making question marker. Api, are the Yadus in their own city? Swa Puryam, in their own city. The Swa here means their own, right? Sukham asate. So this Sukham, are they in a happy state? Are they living or staying or being happily in their city? So this, this is the point I'm making here, is that these words all can have a kind of a sense of being, to be in a state, or to remain, or to be present. All these different ideas that you get with the verb to, that can be synonymous with the verb to be. So you could just say, are the Yadus happy in, are they being happy in their city? Because Sukham here, this is just this is a typical phrase now. We're using Sukham aste, Sukham asate. This Sukham here is actually an adverb, to be happy or to be well. So the question is, are they well? Is Rama well? Are the Yadus well? How are they? Are they good? This kind of question. All right. So now if you want to ask that question, how are you? You say Sukham Ase, right? Sukham Ase. Okay. And we'll see this other way. So now, like this is, it is like Vrit and Sta, it is usually used with the locative case because it indicates some kind of a state of being. So you're asking, you know, is he well there? So both of these are like that. Are they well? Are they alive? Okay, so I'm not going to go into all the details of that. Vrit vartate. So now there's a lot of verbs with this. So this is, you know, this is a super important verb. Super important verb, vartate. So in the present, in the simple form, vrit, without a prefix, because there's all these prefixes, nivartate, vivartate, parivartate, pravartate. So with the prefixes, there's a whole ton of them. And they all have different meanings. And especially we have in philosophical language, pravritti marga, nivritti marga. We see those words a lot. So you can see here so here you have an original meaning, turning and revolving, but really, vartate is mostly used to mean being somewhere, to be present. So here you see also this word, vartamana. I don't know if we've seen this, if we've used this word yet, but the present tense, vartamana kalaha. Right, vartamana kalaha. So if you want to talk about the present tense, is vartamana, and the vartamana kalaha. Vartamana, it's a present participle, so that's going to something we'll learn much later on. But it's actually not that difficult to know. If as your brains become more agile, you'll be able to fit this in. But vartamana means being present. So the vartamana kala, the present tense, the present time. So, you know, vartamana kala, you have bhavishyat kala and you have bhuta kala. Bhuta kala is the past tense. Bhavishyat kala is the future tense, and vartamana kala, that's that's the only tense that we know so far, the present tense. All right, so now you have so Krishnaha tatra vartate. And we can also use tishtati, so we've seen the verb tishtati also. So he is present there. So this, you know, here it says this verb has multiple uses, but in the present tense, it clearly indicates a concrete presence. So if you're talking about something physically being somewhere, Krishnaha, or just like we were saying, Yadavaha Swapuryam Vartante. So if you want to say, where are the Yadus? Yadavaha Kutra Santi, or Kutra Vartante. Where do they live? Where do they rest? Where are they present? At the present moment. Idanim Kutra Vartase. Idanim Kutra Tishtasi. Right? Where are you right now? Idanim Kutra Tishtasi. So here Krishna's Tatra Vartate. So that's vartate. So you have this vartate is a bit different. As later on we'll see vidyate. So vartate, vidyate. So this is mostly in the third person. You're mostly going to see this one in the third person, but you can see it in the other persons also. But mostly you're going to see this just in the form vartate. So yatra tad bhaktaha tananamani gayanti. So Krishna's tatra vartate. So now look at the other part. Yatra tad bhaktaha. So we can drop this visarga here because it's Sunday. Oops, no, that's not what it happens. Here's we've got the right one here. So, oops. That's my trouble. I don't know why it does like that, but okay. So tad bhaktas tananamani yatra gayanti. So I'll put that over here. All right, so Krishna, where does Krishna stay? Krishna is present. Krishna's tatra vartate. So you could also say tishtati. Yatra tad bhaktas tananamani yatra gayanti. So gayanti, all recognize? Sing, they think, plural. Gayati, gayanti, gayati, gayataha, gayanti. So here bhaktaha is plural. Bhaktahas, tad bhaktahas, tan namani. That's accusative case. Gayanti, they sing his names. So where? Yatra tad bhaktaha. Let me put yatra back here. I'll put it back here for the sake of simplicity. So yatra tad bhaktaha tananamani gayanti. So where his devotees sing his names, Krishna tatra vartate, or Krishna tatra vasati, Krishna tatra tishtati. But vartate is very much, he is present. So that's what I'm saying it here. He's present, or he stays. Here, this one here. So sayogi mai vartate. So here that was translated as abides in the Bhagavad-Gita. The idea that he is present. So the yogi is present in me. And that has actually, that sentence has vartamana in it. So, you know, that sarvata vartamanopi sayogi mai vartate. So vartamana here, being present everywhere. Sarvata, in all situations, being present in all situations. Sarvata vartamanopi sayogi mai vartate. Go and have a look at that. Chapter 6, verse 31. And this one here is a bit more complicated. It is vartate. So the here was the vartate, well, nama tubhyam. I'm going to take this one out, this example out. The vartate, I was looking for examples. This is a very famous verse, and you may have heard it before. Aho bata shwapachoto gariyanya jihwagre vartate nama tubhyam. But here, vartate is a good one because it says on yad jihwagre, using the Saptami Vibhakti here, right? So on the tip of the tongue, agre, the tip, jihwa, jihwa means the tongue. So on the tip of the tongue remains, rests, here it says rests. So it rests, the name of Vishnu rests on his tongue. So how glorious is even the dog eater on whose tongue the name of Vishnu is resting or remaining or situated. And you got other ones here. So this one is the Bhagavad-Gita also. So this one here, I mean, this is a little bit, let's say, beyond your pay grade at the moment. But if you want to study it, you can study this. Vartate is what we're looking at here. So vartate, I'm just going to underline that. Okay. So here, Yak Shastra Vidimutsrija Vartate Kamakarata. So you have this Vartate. So one who remains, one who gives up the scriptures, the instructions of the scriptures. Yak Shastra Vidimutsrija. So you'll hear this one if you're following Babaji. Then you'll hear this one too. One who abandons Utsrija, the rules, Vidhim. Shastra vidhim, the rules given in the scripture, one who abandons those and simply remains following his own desires. Nasa siddhim avapnoti, nasukham naparangatim, just looks very easy. So avapnoti, he doesn't attain. Na sa yaha saha, sa siddhim avapnoti, sa siddhim na avapnoti, he does not attain perfection. He does not attain happiness. Na sukham, na param gatim. Sa siddhim na avapnoti. Sa sukham na avapnoti. Sa param gatim na avapnoti. Who? Sa kaha? Saha kaha? Yaha. Shastra vidhim utsrijati. Yas shastra vidhim utsrijati. Yat shastra vidhim tyajati. Yat shastra vidim jahati, and so on. A lot of different words for abandon in Sanskrit. So one who gives up the shastra vidim and who simply remains kamakarata, from the doing of, desires. So this was just this kamakarata. It's a bit difficult, but anyway, vartate. So the idea here is vartate, to remain. So here you have it with a gerund. So this is something that's a bit coming later as well. I'm just pointing to the word vartate. Here it's remains. So now, even though these examples are perhaps a little bit complex and a bit difficult, I mean, this is an important verse and you might as well learn it if you wanted to learn it. But vartate, I'm just simply pointing to the word vartate. So you can see I'm going to probably look around for better examples for this from elsewhere. And now you have a vidyate. So this is, again, this is a question. So tasya janma karma navidyate. Navidyate. So navidyate is a bit different. It means to exist, right? So they exist. Now, these are a bit subtle differences, but vartate is usually more a physical type of thing. Vartate, he remains. But vidyate doesn't mean remains. If you look at the original meaning here, it's is found, is known, right? Is found to be, you could say like that. So that means it's used in the sense of to exist or to be somewhere. You see this, I don't know how many times, these are 20 times in the Bhagavad-Gita, more than 20 times. Na sato vidyate bhavo, na bhavo vidyate sataha. Na neha vikrama nashosti pratyavayo na vidyate. So here you see na vidyate, there does not exist. There does not exist. That's what it really means. So it's a talking, you know, it's just, you could change it for asti. All these different verbs here, all these ones here. Yak shastra vidimutsrisha kamakarata asti. Well, asti doesn't work very, very well here. We could aste. You could probably use aste. These are somewhat interchangeable. They all mean to be somehow. So here's a tasya janma karma nasanti. What tasya janma nasti, tasya karma nasti, nasato bhavo asti, na bhavo vidyate. So here vidyate is replaceable by asti, replaceable perhaps by bhavati. The distinction is subtle, but usually when this kind of, you see how it's being used so frequently, is when you're talking about something, this does not exist. So tat na vidyate. So if I want to say that there, you know, there is such a thing, Bhagavan vidyate, Bhagavan asti, narako na vidyate, like that. It does not exist. Here, partha naivehana mutra vinashas tasya vidyate. So this was also, you know, iha amutra. We had this verse, right? We did this, we learned this verse. Or we should have learned this verse. You should know this verse. You have heard this verse before. So here you've seen this word vidyate before, so we're really just repeating it. We're running out of time here. So, but partha naivehana mutra vinashas tasya vidyate. So let me just move on here, just go the other one. Sta tishtati, you should know this one. So it's being used in the same way. Tishtati, satatra tishtati, he is present there. Tishta has other meanings also. Stop. Be quiet. All these different ideas. Tishta, you want someone to stop. You're moving here, sitting in the rickshaw. So like in the rickshaw in Vrindavan, you say ruko in Hindi. But now, you know, in Sanskrit, if you're talking to a Sanskrit speaking rickshawala, you say tishta. And if you look in the plays, Vidagdha Madhava and Lalita Madhava, you know, when Madhu Mangal and Lalita get into an argument, or when Krishna says something outrageous, you know, then usually it's Lalita or Krishna also to Madhu Mangal. Tishta, tishta. Stop, stop. Don't talk. Stop talking. It's a way of saying shut up. And then here, jayate. Jayate is also coming in, come into existence. So this is also, you know, the idea that it's come najayate, mriyate vakadachit. So here in this case, it means to be born, right? Yato va imani bhutani jayante. So here it's imani bhutani jayante, come into existence, arise. This is super, and janma, this is the word jayate, janmate. And we saw janayati also, right? In the causatives, the causative of this one was janayati. To make come into existence or to produce something. Janayati ashu vairagyam jnanam cha yadahaitukam. Right? So janayati, to cause to come into existence. So bhakti vairagyam janayati. Bhakti vairagyam janayati. Bhakti causes vairagya to come into existence. Bhagavat Tattva Vijnanam Mukta Sangasya Jayate. Right? So here use a bit more, but here Bhagavat Tattva Vijnanam, the Bhagavat Tattva Vijnanam. So full knowledge or direct realization of Bhagavat Tattva comes into existence. It is produced. We say arises here, arises, again, arises. So it comes into existence. So yes, this is a bit different than the other ones. And rajate, virajate. So this one's another one, to mean that, it exists. Sarvopari virajate. Salokastu satyakyaha sarvopari virajate. Upari, sarvopari, above all. So sa lokaha, loka mean the world. Satyakyaha, named Satya, exists or reigns or is effulgent, shines, like that. So here you see the original meaning. So study these verbs, okay? We don't have much time. We don't have any time left. I want you to just to get as good a grip as you can on the information that's in this chapter, and you can practice these sentences. So these these sentences are revised from before. So use the vocabulary that's there. If you don't have access was given to the file on the cloud. So if you don't have that, get it. I mean, someone has it. If you scroll back on the conversation in WhatsApp, you'll find the links to this to the cloud and to this file. So now this is the newly updated file. So now go back, and this is, this should be within your grasp now. This is mostly these sentences are using the the Atmanepada. So I mean, you're going to have to look through the chat. All this vocabulary is somewhere, and if it's not there, it should be here somewhere. And I might have to. I'm going to just, I'm going to double check. There's quite a bit of vocabulary in this chapter, so there's do the best you can, and then this is the. But I'm going to make I'll probably make 15 or 20 sentences. So I'm going to make a few more sentences here. So they're going to be easy sentences, pretty basic, easy sentences, but that doesn't make them too easy. You understand? You're going to have to get your right subject with the right verb form and so on. So you have to be careful here. So I'll be available on WhatsApp. If you have questions about specific sentences or something like that, you don't understand, don't worry. Don't hesitate to ask on WhatsApp over the holidays. I'll be just happy to see that you're keeping your mind at least in contact with Sanskrit. I know it's difficult when there's a holiday. You want to give your brain a rest. So do take some time for yourselves. Have a good holiday and, give your brain a rest. But if you do get a chance, at least do these sentences. Do at least try on the day or day before classes resume in January to do a few of these English to Sanskrit sentences. Okay, well, I'm kind of sad to see it all come to an end here for a while. And I hope to see you all back in January. I hope that none of you are going to are going to give me are going to abandon. Right? So what do you have a good holiday, have a good Christmas if you observe Christmas, and if not, just keep on chanting the holy name, right? Keep the Radhe Radhe going. Jai Sri Radhe. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Santu Niramayah Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschid Dukkha Bhag Bhavet Purnam Madah Purnam Idam Purnat Purnam Udachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnam Eva Vashishyate Sarveshang Swastir Bhavatu Sarveshang Shantir Bhavatu Sarveshang Purnam Bhavatu Sarveshang Mangalam Bhavatu. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat. Jai Jai Sri Radhe, Jai Jai Sri Radhe, Jai Jai Sri Radhe Shyam Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol.